I can't put a time on it. Really young, maybe 3 or 4, and I had 2 younger brothers. I still have one, and Dad was always proud of his, but he didn't go around boasting about it. He just talked about it quietly. I remember the worst time I had was when he was dying in St. Joe Hospital there in Wichita in 1974. And we knew he had like 15 minutes to live. And he'd been such a great dad. And my brother came up, Chuck, and he came out after Dad had just died. And I said, what are we going to do? I can't remember all this Indian stuff. He said, I've got it covered. He said, I've got it all written down. Dad told me everything. I've got it all on. And that's how we keep the history alive. He had it. But if people tell you something, write it down or record it. Don't just, because you will forget. You will forget. But it was a good time growing up. Dad was a really good dad. He didn't boast of his Indian heritage. I remember each year in August, Mulvane would have an Old Settlers Day reunion, and we'd have a big parade on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. And he bought me my first horse when I was 6, and her name was Flash. So we always got Flash dressed up, and as I got older, my mom made me what we called then a squaw dress. It's cinnamon brown color with rickrack all around it. It was really nice, and we wore turquoise, and Dad had a headdress that he wore, and he walked beside Flash and I in the parade, and this was in August.
Now, he was Cherokee
And Delaware.
Okay.
The Cherokee side came over on the Trail of Tears. The Delaware side, we have I think 2 great grandfathers was a Delaware chief, Reverend Charles Journey Cake, and he was a Baptist minister. There was a couple of books written about him. He made, I think, I heard 17 trips to Washington, D.C., and but he and his wife had 11 children, and he had a little church north of Allouez, Oklahoma, and it has since been torn down, but there are a couple of state markers on the side. I understand he was a very kind man, very gentle man, and he talked as I think most Indian men do. They think about what they're going to say before they talk about it. It's not sporadic or anything. And the first picture I saw of him was in this church, and I thought, Reverend Charles Journey Cake, okay, we can do this. And I expected a headdress, buckskin beads, and that wasn't the Delaware way. The Delaware chiefs didn't wear headdresses, they'd had turbans. And their clothes were like broadcloth. But the first picture I saw, I thought he looks just like a white man because he had a clerical collar and he had long white hair, kind of a hawk nose, very distinguished guy. He was kind of intimidating even in this picture, but I understand he was a real gentleman. So he was there. My mom's family was Irish, and they came over to the United States from potato famine, as a lot of immigrants did. I've talked to friends, and I said anyone's ethnicity, I think it's so exciting, and you need to keep it alive. It sounds strange, but every time I went into Oklahoma, we visited my grandmother who was down by Oklahoma City. This sounds crazy, but when I went to college, we went down through Oklahoma City, and I went to New Mexico to college. And I would look out the side of the car, and I know this sounds nuts, but I could see an Indian on his black and white horse racing so fast. And he had a lance in his right hand, and he would look directly at me and wave the lance. And I saw him every single time I went down to Oklahoma or to New Mexico. But when I moved to Oklahoma, I haven't seen him since. And I think he wanted me to go down and explore my roots. The little town I was staying in and lived in for 14 years, Chelsea, Oklahoma. My dad was born there in 1912, a little west of Chelsea. There's an awful lot of history down there. And when I would go through Allouie, it's just a bitty town, one of those old towns that if you blink, it's gone. And I go by the turnoff where Reverend Charles Church had been, and I'd always wave and salute and said, Reverend Chuck, how you doing? And it was nice. You could feel the person there. You could feel them. And it's so serene and quiet. There's been a lot of history down there, and a lot of history here in Kansas. I think so, especially with Black Bear Moson's Keeper of the Plains there in Wichita. I mean, it is such a special place. Such a special place. And you can, I think the Native Americans, if someone wants to talk to them, that person, they will open up and talk to you about it. It's like any heritage. But it's, the Indians have always been so proud of the land. Take care of the land and it'll take care of you. And anyway, it's just kind of what I think. That's kind of what Dad taught us. I used to sit out in front of my house with my 2 Siberian Huskies, and I had a big weeping willow tree, and I'd sit out there for hours underneath that tree. And you quote unquote listen to the wind, and I would always touch the earth. And as my son was growing up, I would take him outside, and I would have him as a 3 or 4-year-old close his eyes and said, now tell me what you would hear. And he would say, well, I didn't hear anything. I said, listen again. And he would you'd hear a bird, a car go by, the wind, and just listen to it and absorb it. But love Mother Earth, take care of Mother Earth. Just think of everyone's heritage, where they came from. Mm-hmm. It's not just the Indians, it's our ancestors who came from Europe. You realize they got on those tiny little boats, knowing they probably would never see their loved ones again. There was no texting, no email, no phones, no nothing. And mail service was probably sporadic, if at all. And they were so courageous, mm-hmm. So courageous. So when we run into a couple of bumps during our life, it's like it's nothing compared to what they all went through.
Yep.
Nothing. And they survived.
Are there, just in the short visit to Stafford County, any things that strike you?
People are really nice.
Okay.
They're nice. They're nice up here. Well, they are everywhere. Everybody's really opening and welcoming. And I like to imagine the landscape as it was 100 years ago. It's not been that long since tribes roamed this area. in a matter of time, when you think about it, 100, 150 years.
Mhm.
And so they did walk this earth, and we're still here.